the least we could do is go to the grocery and pick our food, right? But I think this is so cool because we're castrated as humans right now, and that's how the government wants us. That's how corporate America wants us, so that we're reliant on them. And what you are doing is giving people the power to provide for themselves back.
That's exactly the case. That's exactly the case. And for anybody listening in, I'm sure you've got the question like, how am I going to make this work? Like you talk about empowerment, right?
Mm-hmm.
People go, how am I going to make this work? How can we do this? And I mean it. One of the cool things about having talked to every single person as the CEO, knowing what the whole market looks like for a fact,
Mm-hmm.
okay, most people are not these like, people who are balling out. Like, sure, like they're doing well, they're doing relatively well. They're not literally like in poverty.
Yeah.
But by no means would anybody say that these are the richest people on the planet who are able to buy land. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have all the answers just yet for every single thing. And yet they're able to take action.
Yeah.
And we are, empowering people to start learning how to farm stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I think what you just mentioned is a great transition into the next thing on how do people actually afford things, right? Because,
Yeah.
you might be expecting a bill at the end of the day for land plus a home, plus utilities, plus the farming equipment, plus the animals, plus even an Airbnb cabin to make money on that, right? All of that would be $850,000,
Right.
right? $750,000, something along that line. Not everybody can afford that just yet. So how can we actually do that? How can we bridge that gap? And that's the next interesting part of this conversation, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I'll dive into that here in just a second. I am curious, do you guys lay utilities or lay power lines, or is that something that you guys handle as you're prepping this land, or?
The only kind of utility that we
Mm-hmm.
lay down at least, is the fiber optic internet, so that you can have
Oh,
completely,
cool.
yeah. So even though it's completely off grid,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing we have is we make sure you have fiber optic internet, and fiber optic so that you're not dealing with EMF radiation, buzzing through your brain and your children's brains.
Right.
But we do not put in sewage, we do not put in asphalt roads, and we do not put in your typical power lines, because those things, they connect you to the grid. They make it, it basically ruins the point.
Yeah.
We do add in gravel roads, okay, and dirt roads.
That's the best kind of road anyways,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. It's one of the best roads. If you're going to put in asphalt roads, for anybody listening, asphalt roads cost about $1 million per mile.
Wow. That's insane.
So it's
I
just
didn't know
like,
that.
for most properties, it might double the cost for every single parcel. Not even profitability, just like literally the cost, and just
Yeah.
break even cost on every parcel. So we're just like, why would we do that? If we just skip that, we just go with the dirt road. We can get it done faster and
Mm-hmm.
more affordable. So even though I said we don't include it with the parcel price, like you're not going to get the sewage pipes and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
when you do finally decide to do your home design, we do have the best partners in the world to help you out with all the utilities that make it so that you more than make up for not having your regular public grid electricity and everything else. So if you think about it another way, okay, there's this connotation with living off grid with like going backwards or something like that, like, oh, it's like this backwards living, or it's this rural living. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. If you actually think about it, off-grid technologies are more advanced than on-grid technologies,
Yeah.
right? Power lines haven't changed for at least 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sewage hasn't changed for 100 years. Septic hasn't changed for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there are solar panel technologies that are coming out every single day, right? Like solar roofing technology, solar battery technology. How about hydrogen battery technology? That's a whole thing that most people don't even know about, right? You can use hydrogen to store energy. With regards to wells, right? You can put a well in there, and you can have it, with really powerful systems to detect water before you even drill the well, which is really, really cool, and saves a lot of costs. And the really what we're excited about is the septic systems that we use. So we use something called sludge hammer septic systems, which is, it's designed almost overall like a normal septic tank. So just a big tank that goes in the ground, right? That holds waste.
Yeah.
But the difference is you put kind of an aerating hole at the top of it, okay? And you put there's a special blend of bacteria that will break down human waste. And it turns the septic tank into having two chambers. One chamber for the main parts of the waste that are coming in at first, and then the second chamber as a holding chamber for the next parts, right? In that second chamber, what's coming out of that is actually, it takes out the majority of the toxicity of it. It takes out all of that nasty stuff and actually turns it into usable biomaterials. So you then seep it out the other side of it, and it can go out into your backyard, into your plants, and into your food forest, and it will actually grow the plants for you in an amazing way. Like, it's like the best fertilizer. So
Really?
yeah, so like basically it takes human waste and turns it into this like hyper fertilizer. I mean, if I were to show you, if I go to the website, right, if I go to Sledgehammer, they have a case study, right, Pond Hill Farm. And for any of you guys who are listening and not watching, okay, you can see a giant pumpkin right here. Okay, there's a giant pumpkin on screen that is grown and is giant because it's connected to one of these Sledgehammer systems and is fed by the fertilizer that comes out of it naturally.
Wow. And that was grown from that Sledgehammer system.
Yeah, yeah.